call to order of the Oconee County Rescue Squad Advisory Commission for July 27th, 2023. Welcome, everybody. Any public comment tonight? No public comment. Any commission member comments? None? Okay. On the agenda is the Rescue Squad Advisory Commission ordinance review. Several months ago, I had mentioned that through the year we would try to go through this and make sure that we're in compliance with our duties. So I did provide a copy of the ordinance from the county website for our commission. Please take some time to look over it now and when you get home and between the next meeting, because my goal is between now and the end of the next meeting that we are fully compliant with our duties. So I would love for us to be a place where instead of bringing problems and asking for solutions, we bring solutions to correct problems and be proactive. So we kind of have a duty to lead rescue operations, and in conjunction with all of our leaders, and I'd love for us to be in compliance with these things. For example, recommend minimum training standards of Oconee County Rescue Service personnel. Our training committee has done a great job in publishing our new training standards, and we'll cover a little bit more of that in the training committee report. But I would love to see us active in making training recommendations and bringing those through committee up to the agenda for vote. We did form a budget and finance committee. It has not made it onto the agenda yet, but we're kind of late in the cycle for this budget year. But throughout the next year, I'd love for us to be able to work on projects and make recommendations throughout the year so that come budget time, it's much easier to bring those things to council. The SOG committee is currently working on rewriting the standard operating guidelines and getting those published and in effect. But it's going to be a work in progress. There's always going to be something new that comes up that we need to talk about, discuss, and implement. So I see that committee is continuing on past the time that we redo the standard operating guidelines. If you'll take a look at section 1033, of course, we are all elected, but we have 2 seats that we need to move into compliance according to this statute. One is that we need you guys here. This has nothing to do with you guys, but one of the at-large seats is supposed to be appointed by the rescue chief, and the other at-large seat is supposed to be appointed by the chiefs. I don't know if you call them the group of chiefs, or these need to be rescue squad members in good standing.
So sir, it is actually the rescue chiefs that elect theirs, and then the Oconee County Emergency Services Rescue Chief is the other person that is that.
Okay,
If you read that.
Okay, so help me through this, everybody, because 2 non-voting members will be representatives appointed respectively by the rescue chiefs and the emergency services rescue chief.
Correct.
I'm reading that totally different.
Okay.
Yeah, so our rescue chiefs group can appoint one member, and then the Coney County Emergency Service Chief as a representative, appoints somebody.
Points one, two.
Yeah, so one each.
Correct.
So each, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
One is appointed by this body,
Uh-huh.
and one is appointed by us in our office.
Correct.
Yes. Okay, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Yeah.
My mistake.
No, no. So, just, if you guys, I did draft a letter to the rescue chiefs that Mike, Chief Carroll, if you would mind giving that to them, asking for their appointee. I'll need information from everybody that's been a member here for a long time. I don't even know where they sit. So, where do we sit them, and how much, are they involved in executive session? Those are things that I need to find out too.
They have been involved in the past, in all of those. They sit there, they have sat down at the bottom. Steve filled that for a good number of years when he was not a commissioner for, if I'm not mistaken, as that member from the squads. And then since we've had the director position and a EMS coordinator position, that is our representation is within our office, for that position. But basically, it is a floor position, and helps coordinate between the chiefs and the commission.
So yeah, if you could pass that along, I'll present you that with that letter at the end. If you could pass that along to the rescue chiefs, and if they could get us someone, hopefully by their next meeting, we'd appreciate it. But I understand there's, you have to ask people and they have to agree to it too. So. Committee reports, before I get to committee reports, again, looking at the ordinance, take a look at your committees over the next month, make sure they're in compliance. We need a group leader. There really only has to be, from the way I read it, one commissioner on the committee. And I know in the past year or two, we've put 2 on each committee, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you need at least one commission member on the committee, a group leader, an active rescue squad member at large from each region, and a staff liaison from Coney County Emergency Services. Is that the way you guys read it?
Yes.
If you can't get someone from each region, at least try. I know people's times are, they're dedicated to a lot of different things. And we ask a lot of people already. It's even hard for our committee to, figure out a time to meet that works for everybody. So, doesn't mean they have to show up. Still have your meetings. Still keep plugging along. If they can't make it, it's okay. Maybe they'll make the next one. But as we go into your committee reports tonight, if you can give me the names of who's on the committee. I'll write those down, and who your staff liaison is. And if you don't have one, we'll get one. No big deal. We're working through this together. So, radio committee, Commissioner Zahn and Commissioner Land.
Those are the members on the committee. Director Crine is a staff liaison. And we have some other members who sort of float in and float out. I really don't know what's up to date now. We have not had the need for a meeting in quite a while because we're waiting on the FCC that is holding up the whole show. We are making some progress in some areas. Newry, would you report on that one?
Sure.
Because you're more familiar.
So, we have the Newry Mill repeater, operational. It is, the fire repeater, Fire Digital. So rescue members can use that if they can't get out on the rescue, squad or on the rescue repeater. And that repeater will have to be loaded into radios. We just got that. Excuse me, we'll take reprogramming because it is a new actual repeater site. But it covers the whole area. It's not just the building. The partnership that we did there, instead of just putting a building repeater in there, it covers that whole kind of hole down in there by the lake, for the new mill. So that is operational. It has been tested and we are now, allowed to start putting it into our radios as a new listening site.
So that's for just the Fire One channel?
It is just Fire Digital.
Fire Digital.
And there's a Fire Digital and a Sheriff's Office Digital, that was put into that.
Is that one gonna be Fire Digital 3?
No, it's
We have 1 and 2 already.
it's part of the Fire Digital One system. In other words, it's an added repeater to that system. Does that make sense? It's another listening site. It's another listening site, so if you're closest to it, you'll hit it instead of going over the mountain or the dam that blocks a lot of the traffic.
So it's a listening receiver, not a repeater.
No, it is a repeater, but it's,
It's roaming. It puts it in the roam list with all
yeah,
the
it puts it in the roam list like the other ones.
Okay.
Question real quick. Did we ever get an update from the FCC? I know I asked in May if we could get one. I tried to go on their website to see where we applied for anything, and I'm not located.
So there was some change. We did turn down the Salem
It's
amounts,
too low.
and now the lightest is for the 130 tower because it's so much bigger and will cover so much more area. That's what they're putting effort into right now. I did talk to him this week about equipment and equipment is coming in and stuff, but we are waiting on when you get 5 watts, that doesn't do us any good.
Yeah.
So that's what they're doing.
Who's the licensee for it? Is it the sheriff's office or OCS?
It'll all be the sheriff's office. All of the frequencies fall underneath the communications director.
Any further from the radio committee?
No. Did we ever approve minutes?
No, we did not.
I have a question, Scott. Because of Travis's report at the fire chief's meeting, can we do some type of official testing with that radio versus Motorola?
So today we talked to the vendor, to try to get some to officially test, like we've used. What he's talking about is there's now a Kenwood radio that can actually talk on our system. And the reports from it really are significant. It is a public safety radio. No, we can't over-the-air program it. That didn't work anyways. We weren't quite there anyways with our system. But they are having very good success. He did a trial and has already ordered 7 more to replace his most important radios for that. And a lot of the dead areas are not dead anymore with that radio. Gumby's, who built our system, programmed and worked with him on those radios. So it's not just, it was programmed right and all that too. So it has a lot to do with our system, making sure your radio's programmed right. And so, yes, today we talked to them about options and demos and making sure we had the right equipment to do a test for the county level. And as soon as we get that information back and timeframes, I'll be getting with the radio committee to have another meeting. We'll look at that for testing.
Do you know the model number of the radio?
I don't, I'm sorry.
give Travis Collins a call, he'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Or I can get them from, because they bought those radios from Fair Play Fire.
Anything else from radio committee? Incentive committee, Commissioner Zahn, Commissioner Sprogis.
I have nothing to report. Change.
No changes since we,
No.
yeah, no changes since we met. But know that that deadline, you'll be getting emails in August about, you know, the end of September, is the deadline for that, so.
The chiefs will get a report for how their membership stand at the next meeting.
As an item for the incentive committee, our training officer brought an item to our attention that there were training hours that were sitting that were never approved. I don't know how this process works, but check your training hours and see if they're accurate. There may be some that have not yet been signed off by whoever signs those off, so that they're showing low at the moment. So as you guide your members to whether or not they meet the standards for incentive, double check and make sure those things have been box checked at the county level. If y'all could elaborate on that item.
Well, there's a certain way to put the reports in, and there were several training officers who were filling the document. They were doing, I'm just speaking in general terms, putting a multi-day class that was more than 24 hours on one day.
Okay.
So spreading those things out to where the class, when you do a class, it's assigned to that day. What you did, putting in there, if you did hazmat for one class, you put what you did for a hazmat class with the roster, create that class. Not that you did a 24-hour hazmat class and I'll put it on one day.
Okay.
So,
It's
That's
just a
the
matter
thing.
of detail.
right,
Okay.
Mike, does that have to be done that way for the EMR classes too?
yes,
Because we haven't done that way in the past.
it should be that way.
Got it.
That saves it because, not to throw anybody under the bus, it was, somebody had made a generalized sign-in roster that showed everybody on, on that class and just kept changing the dates, but the type names were always the same and everybody attended a class. So this, you sign in, you sign on the roster, so there's always accountability of who was in the class.
And so, just on incentive committee, who's your staff liaison? Staff liaison. Any other members besides the two of you guys?
That committee has 2 members from the fireside also.
Okay.
Forget who it was.
I'll have to go back.
Tony was one, I think.
Tony McAllister was one, and
13, chief of 13. Is that right?
Bruce,
Bruce Brock.
Bruce Brock.
Yeah.
Does that committee have any other work to do before incentive checks come out? Okay. SOG committee, Mr. Lamb, would you like to?
Yeah,
update?
so we finally have revised everything. We are now in the process of typing it up, getting it legible, and that way we can start issuing out for everybody to review. And as long as that's good, I'm sure there might be some revisions. Once that gets corrected, then we can start pushing that out, coming to a vote on it. Our staff liaison is Mike Carroll, and we have some members that are in and out.
We do, so for Region 2, Mr. Wilbanks, if you have any suggestions for us to have a representative for either of those squads that would help us, we'd appreciate it. And Commissioner Zahn, representative from Rescue 7 or 8, we'd appreciate it as well.
To help work on that committee?
Yeah.
Okay.
Training Committee.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Are you going to be sending those out to the commission members first?
Yes.
Thank you.
Training.
I don't have anything to report. We've not met again, unless Mike is aware of anything that's changed since the last time. And I am the lead on that. Eric Sprogis is on it. Mike, Nat Mann, Bruce Brock, Ray Smith, and Zach Smith.
And your current project is,
We just finished the training document, we've done the, onboarding form, and that's all we have right now. We haven't started on anything new.
Budget and Finance. Was formed in January, I believe, which was myself and Commissioner Wilbanks. But we never got any further than that. So we'll be building that committee. And again, we'll need representatives from Commissioner Land's district and the two of you guys as well.
And what is it called? What in finance?
Budget and Finance.
Thank you.
And projects to be determined, but we'll work with leadership on the budget. I'm going to back up to item number 2, approval of the minutes from June 22nd, 2023. Has everybody received a copy of those? Need a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor, raise your right hand. All in favor, no objections. Back to item number 8, Chief Carroll's report.
All right, let's start off. Good evening, everybody. Last month, you had in front of you the spreadsheet with response and, data for each squad. Just another busy month. Rescue force and dispatch calls went ahead last month. However, success rate stays about the same. They did bump up to 50%. Seneca Rescue, you're still doing a great job. Salem Rescue, you're still doing a great job. Oakway's added some members. They're hovering right around the 45% success rate. Walhalla, like I said, bumped up from the 40s into the 50s, right at 50%. Westminster had a setback. They're making about 33% of their calls. Mountain Rest, hovering right at about 50%. Kiwi added some more members, some more people running calls. They actually have jumped up to over 50%.
Yep.
And are making, if you can look at the total, hold on a second. All right. 75% of their calls last month, so
It's nice having more members.
spread the wealth around. We talked about working with them, talking about doing duty nights. Everybody just picking a night, answering calls, that kind of stuff. You're working on more radio stuff, right, Eric, with them? New radios?
Squad?
Yeah.
I just had to order batteries.
Okay.
That was the big issue, is we're running out of batteries.
So we're working with them to get that. That's all I have on that. If anybody got any questions? Yes, sir.
Ivan Special?
Oh, Dive Special. Sorry.
Okay. Don't forget us.
Dive had 3 calls. I think 1 recovery. No, that was the last day of last month, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then, Special had 1 call. Don't jinx us, Steve. Any other questions? All right, let's roll right into the training update. Like I said, we did the first VFIS class. There was 15 in that. We got another one scheduled for August. And this is for the emergency driver, non-fire apparatus. It's starting 8:15. So hurry up and get there. We need name, chiefs can get the name, good email and good phone number for the person taking it. And get that to either Brady or I, an email.
You have the exact dates and times?
I can get them to you.
Okay.
Cause we're having to stretch on, cause there's a bunch of other stuff going on, we're actually gonna be, I'm probably gonna be teaching some of the nights. So we're trying to get that straight on the actual nights. I'll get that to you. I'll get it out to everybody in email. I will shoot a note for definite tomorrow. We got initial EMR class coming up, starting the 8th and going through the 21st. Right now, we only had 5 enrolled, but we need a couple more. I know there's a lot of people taking some more classes out at your squads. But if you got anybody else that can get in there, we need more.
At a daytime class? Must be.
I think that's a nighttime class. Yeah, it's a nighttime class.
I have 4 in it.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, great.
the daytime class just finished. It was mostly people from the fire cadet program. We got an EMR refresher coming up in October. That'll cover everybody up to that point. Again, that's 20 or 30-some hours now. Anybody interested, there was an EVDT class coming up, but I think it was, the nighttime was canceled, but the daytime was gonna go. But that starts this weekend. Or the 31st. Is that Monday? Monday. The daytime class. Everybody, we can get the link out, the IS 100, 200, 300, or IS 100, 200, 700, 800. Make sure everybody got that link. I'll get that out to everybody again. A lot of people are getting them in. If you get your, certificates in online, just have everybody forward them to me and I'll get them in ERS. Action training. I added the new members from all the squads that affiliated and got that this year. I haven't got any phone calls that anybody's had a problem with getting in. So all those should be up and running. It was Rescue 22, added 5 members. Rescue 4, y'all had a total of 7 altogether. And I added your 2 new ones at Salem. And we took off and added Rescue 1, I don't think anything. 2 is good, 3 is gonna get it, 3 had 4, gonna add a 5th one. You're also still, I'm not sure how many Rescue 5 has. And 6 is talking about getting it for some of theirs. So I'll get a price on all that to everybody and just tell them what the current rates are. Anybody have any? Yes.
The VFIS class, am I correct in saying that that's for vehicles smaller than SR 81?
No, it counts SR81.
Okay.
As long as it is, we want you to have a trailer orientation if you're gonna be towing trailers and stuff when you combine those.
Thank you.
Think about that. Anybody else? All right. ERS reporting. Oh no, I'm on the wrong one, sorry. Oh, it was ERS reporting. Remember, make sure everybody is getting their reports in, standards 24 hours for medical reports. After looking at last year, I looked through, I'm gonna tell you, I went through every single report for the last physical year for us. And I'm finding, getting with people, making sure, I know it gets busy times, but make sure when your people get done with a call, they do the report within a day, all right? Because that's when it's freshest in your mind. I'm gonna tell you, we're getting more and more requests for litigation or items for reporting for items that are going to court. Traffic accidents, to every slip, trip, fall you run in one of these stores or somewhere else, they're getting requested. So now they're asking for personnel who was on the call so they can say, basically what I'm getting, yep, that's the guy I saw laying on the ground. So just to back up their case that the person was injured at that location. So make sure you're writing your reports. I tell everybody, write it like it's gonna go be read by somebody else and who has to understand it. Abbreviations you put in a report, make sure you understand what those abbreviations are. Okay? So anybody needs a help on report writing, I can come, or myself or somebody can come do a class on report writing at your squad for a drill. We really haven't, we had an access problem, people looking at, basically, like I said, being nosy, getting into reports, that seems to have stopped. So, I'll let you know if any more of that comes up. Anybody have any questions on that?
Can we pass back on to some of the 21 guys? So if they run like a Rescue 4 or a Rescue 5 call, they need to put Rescue 4 or Rescue 5 as the station? We're still
Yes.
getting them put in 21, and if I go search for my call, it's not under Rescue 4, I have to get it 21 and search the OCS number.
Right. A lot of new people. So, I mean, I'm getting the word out, and as I look at them, I change them, because I look at calls daily. Also, you wanna go, well, with ERS here, do you have any part of, about the new system?
Yeah, we're talking about
Okay.
that.
Like, one of the 21 guys asked me the other day if he could do a BGL, and I said, are you an EMT? And he said, I'm waiting to take my test. And I said, well, I'm gonna have to check with Mike before I say it's okay for you to do it.
I want to tell you, it's just like you set up a IV bag, basically just like you set up an IV bag for a medic. It's not, it's above your certification level, but you're trained to do it. So if you felt comfortable letting him do it,
Okay, that's all right.
it's because it's on your license. So that's one of those,
Thank you.
there's a lot of guys that are still waiting to get we're still waiting to get, they've taken the national testing and passed. We're just waiting to get their stuff in the mail. So hopefully we'll have 4 more EMTs on staff. Anybody else have any questions? All right. Oh, I kinda got off.
Roll call.
Yeah, did you skip?
Roll. I looked at the wrong one. So the roll. So far, we've done Fire 13, Rescue 1, Fire and Rescue 2. Rescue 3, haven't got a date yet. Rescue 4, we're gonna be doing it at your next meeting. Rescue 5, no date on the training yet. Rescue 6, we're going to their next meeting, and they're gonna be combined with Fire 4. 7 and 8 really doesn't need to be in this. 22, I'm gonna set up to do it at your next,
That's gonna be August 8th is our next meeting.
Yes.
It's Tuesday at 3
we're gonna try
o'clock.
to do it August 8th. I
Perfect.
gotta get back with Charlene.
Shirley, good.
And then we're doing Fire 8 and a bunch more of the firehouses. So I'll be putting those dates out. But these are just kind of trickling in when people, it takes about 2 hours. But go through the whole training and take the test online. So,
We got an email from Zach about the one that's on the fire portal, and it's virtual. What is that?
that's a new one.
Is it
So
the
you can-
equivalent or lesser?
It depends on technology and that blackboard. So we come to it in person, you get the trainers, you get everything right there to practice hands-on. So, and it's, I would say, less cumbersome.
But it is an equivalent.
Yes,
And you said on Hansford, it's about a 2-hour program?
give or take, on how many people
Yeah.
and how fast they are at taking the test online. They have to have excuse me, have to have a device that's because it's what do you call it? QR code that you read on with your phone or iPad or pad that you go right to the test.
You have a current estimate as to what percentage of 37501 has completed
Not yet.
our target is 80, was that?
Target at 37501 is 80%. And everybody, I want to say, did an outstanding job updating their rosters and this last quarter and making either people honorary or administrative, which will not count against us as roster holders. So that was a big one. So I'll have that total, hopefully, with more of these big ones coming up, we should be over to 50% to 60% by the first week of August. First, second, give or take.
Do you have an update on the medication you ordered? Epinephrine?
Yes. We're having to do it since we were on budget. All that, and plus that, I'm on limited on how much I can spend at one time with a vendor. We're doing it in stages. The people who had it are getting it back, and then we're working the new ones in.
Is that all for you?
That's it, unless y'all got any more questions.
Director Grant?
Okay, Mike briefly, touched on improper access, in ERS. You know, we just always, you know, it is not to be surfed around, and we've solved the problem, with the individual, but, you know, we just always need to remember, it's about, respecting the system. And with that, you know, we were planning on and had already hoped that we were in the process of changing to the new system, the new reporting system. And with the budget, change, we are asking for that to be restored, you know, so we, hopefully when the new budget comes through, we will be able to move forward with that project. But presently, we're not able to move forward with, we have to have pay for two systems 1 year. Sooner or later, we have to pay for a system while we build the new one out to be able to move the data over to actually, move into the new system and go live. So we're kind of in that holding pattern, waiting for council to move forward with that. That all leads into the budget issue of not knowing exactly, where everything's gonna end up, budget-wise, so that's why we've set limits on just general budget for everything for emergency services, to make sure as we move, if the positions, for Valleyland are filled or not, all that is part of, depending on the budget, and what that looks like, and upfit. You know, medical supplies, every time we get new people that cost medical supplies, stations, those kind of things, all are part of that budget process, when it goes into it, as we go through it. So, any questions on that? Technically, it was 2 in 1, but. Wanted to go over talk about the rapid entry program real quick. So we want to make sure, you know, that program has been a large success, in having a very quick and responsive, units out there, to have recovery quickly. But that program has a very specific parameters to stay within the guidelines to fulfill OSHA, to fulfill standard, procedures for diving, when it comes to that. And that is, and it is used, within that system. And that, number one, we're allowed to dive alone because we have another diver coming. And that diver is within 10 minutes, and it is for life safety. The program itself, that's what it fits under. The dive team, per the AHJ, the authority having jurisdiction, is the team that is tasked with diving. Outside of any diving formally by county units, outside of the rapid entry program, which is specifically for life saving. We risk a lot to save a lot, and that's why we allow that situation to happen. So we need to just make sure everyone has that training. I know, 1 has quick rigs, 2 has some quick rigs, fire units have quick rigs, there's some at Kiwi Key have quick
17
rigs.
has too.
So they're spread out all over the county, South Union, Corinth, Shiloh. The key there is we want to make sure that everyone has that training and knows the parameters, around that rapid entry program. So we do not fall out of that program because we are, not meeting the OSHA standard except for life safety. when it comes to that. So, all this year's training, we didn't have a lot of participation on the squad side. So please, let's try to encourage those members, because the training goes over how to maintain it. So even if you're not a diver, you know what the units are, you know what the how to make sure it's all there, or how to inventory it, and then you know how to be a tether, how to actually be on the other line for that. So please help us, make sure that we meet those standards as we're out and about and we don't get in trouble.
One of the difficulties in this is availability of the class.
Okay?
Who is allowed to teach it?
So we haven't really said only these people. There's multiple people with the dive team that has come around to do that. This year we did 3 days at night, 3 different days during the day and 3 different days during the night to do that. And myself, I went to Kiwi and worked with them some. I've been down South Union. So I mean, a request, and we can try to get someone that can come out and do that to make sure, that, because everyone in the squad, we want them trained, because you may have a diver, you still need a tender that knows how to operate the system too, to make it work.
This is it's still on topic, but it's kind of a consistent thing, is we get very short notice on things. And I'd love for us to work on that, because almost all of our volunteers have jobs. And it comes up frequently to all of us that, using tonight's example, we've got this driver training coming up, but to schedule off work, we don't know what days to schedule off to do it. And it takes, if you've got a job that requires 3 months' notice, it's hard. So,
I don't disagree. I would try to push out the training schematic, and I know it's a lot of classes, but a lot of them get listed there, and if they're interested, they can always call to get the actual dates. We can't put all the dates of classes online, and that's what we're trying. We're trying to get at least, hey, here's when that class goes, so someone can call in and go, hey, if I want it, what's the rest of it? Is it on a Tuesday? We do a Tuesday, Thursday every week for 5 weeks. Whatever that class is, Brady is really trying to get that out in updated, literally weekly one almost comes out for the training. And that's when they just get listed. And then when we get closer, we try to start bringing it out. But you're right, it's harder to get off work. Everyone's finding that. But we are trying, from the comments actually before, trying to actually put it on the, that's why that is getting bigger and bigger, because we're listing every class, not just the big ones. We're trying that is the training roster, so people can look at it and try to look forward to try to do that. But I wrote it down. We'll try to make sure we, get it further out.
I think based on.
So on this diving program, I don't do dive. So who sponsors this? Is this a fire academy class? Is this a county class?
It is not. It is a county program.
So is this also subject to low enrollment cancellation?
No.
Because we're seeing a lot of that too. Members get to see a class 3 months out, they ask off work for it, they get off for it, and then 4 days before the class, we get an active 911 canceled due to low enrollment.
And we can't control the academy.
Yeah.
But no, this is not this is the county comes out and does that. We designed that program to fit the needs, and the reason why we have pulled almost every single recovery in less than 30 minutes recently, except for one. And because of the Rapid Entry program, it's been 100% success. Anderson's modeling after us. So, but it's not due to enrollment.
Is there a way we could try to work with the academy on working on low enrollment cancellations? Because even if you have one person showed up, you slotted that instructor to be there. And we're at least training one person, and one's better than none.
The problem is an academy class is not about that instructor. Every bit of their classes are grant funded. And there has to be so much money is allotted. So much money is allotted for that class per person. So if you don't meet that minimum standard, it's a negative class per person, per certificate and those things. We don't have an option, when it comes to academy.
What about, does that work for EMR as well?
So EMR can be, we're doing, Upstate Medical presently, and they, have asked for certain, everyone's gonna ask, they're also grant funded, for their training. And so that's where they get a good chunk of their money, not just, our classes would cost significantly more if it wasn't funded, for that, but they try not to, they try to do the best, but we all know that a two-person class isn't a productive class, especially if there's practicals, that you need groups of 4 in a practicals. That's where some of it comes from, is, you bring it up under rapid entry, I did one night, we did the whole scenario and did everything for one person, for the rapid entry program, that no one else showed up, and we said, guess what, let's go. We're gonna do it, and I had people from the day stay over so we could do the whole scenario again, just for the one person. To make sure what happens, and if we are doing it, we're gonna do it with the lowest numbers. But still, if a class needs groups of 4 to do the scenario, you can't really do it with less than 4 people. So we're trying, and we frequently have classes that we're doing with 9 people, and though it's 11 because we're doing it, not the academy. But on the academy classes that we don't have the instructor, we're at their mercy.
Rescue squad updates, Region 1. Spoke with Chief Fuller a couple nights ago. They have received the links for action training, replaced a radio in a vehicle. Nothing else has changed, I believe.
Hopefully the radio got done today. Guy had to cancel, but he was supposed to come back today.
Okay, good. For Rescue 1, we have 1 Bravo Echo county vehicles operational. We've got Charlie Delta, our squad vehicles operational. Alpha is still at the motor pool. The fundraiser we've got going right now is to try to help across the fire and the rescue side. We have a GoFundMe going on right now to try to replace our ice machine. It's this big, and it can't make enough ice to do a rehab. So we do stockpile ice in a freezer inside the rehab trailer that stays plugged into the generator, but we burn through that entire freezer doing one summertime rehab. So we are trying to raise funds right now to get a bigger ice machine and to buy better coolers that'll hold ice longer when we do our daily fill-ups. Other than that, got a good roster cleaning done, and I think hopefully we'll try to get that 98 to 99, and then we'll work on 100.
To bring that up on the rehab, I actually had a department that just mentioned how well you did on a rehab that you came out to. Rescue 1 did, so I don't remember the call actually, but it was.
We're trying to do our best to build toward the NFPA standards on rehab, and we've got 2 different types of cooling systems now, and fans, and we're building it. We just need, we're gonna have a little more time and a little more funding to do it. So next, Region 2, Commissioner Wilbank.
We have 4 new people that are waiting for the EMR class to start, so hopefully that will be a go. We have 1 member who just completed EMT and has passed the skills part and has her test schedule, written test schedule. We also just had 9 completing research for EMR and 14 just completed bulk trainings. For regions, or for Rescue 6, they are still waiting on lights for their truck, is what Chief Womack said.
Possibly next week.
Okay, and, everything else was good, equipment-wise, personnel-wise.
On their truck, I talked with both chief and assistant chief. Motor pool, another thing, couldn't hire down so many people. Ton of sheriff's department vehicles are in line to get lights too. It's been probably going on almost 3 months now since we had that pickup truck. And we're looking at outsourcing it if they can't get it done next week.
That's all I have.
Region 3, Commissioner Land.
From Chief Harper at Rescue 4, he just wanted to pass on that we're pushing all reports done in 24 hours. Not necessarily no responses, but all calls within 24 hours. He's also going to try and push if Rescue 1, Rescue 5, or any other agency assists us on a call, that those people add their members and their times within the 24-hour period as well. He wanted an update on the Tahoe, its sirens messed up, and I'm assuming the same motor pool question.
Yeah, we talked about it today. It is a wiring, problem. And so they are working on when they can actually get it in to strip some of those wires, because that was an old vehicle that was old wiring when we put new stuff in it, or some new stuff, so yeah, that's, they lost some mechanics and weren't able to hire them for a while, and they're just now able to hire them again. So motor pool is way behind, on that, and we had a long discussion today about options for us to get stuff operational.
That's all I had for Rescue 4. Rescue 5, no response.
Region 4, Commissioner Brooks.
Okay, with Rescue 22, with our membership improving, our morale is improving. We got some motivated new members. Actually, this weekend, there's gonna be a meet and greet in Kiowee. They're gonna, for all the new members of Kiowee, so we're gonna have a table there. So again, it'll be a bit of a recruitment and get the word out to what Rescue 22 does. And we'll actually be, I think we're gonna have a table right beside beside Station 17. And our vehicle needs some service, but we're planning on bringing it in tomorrow and leaving it and seeing what they can do with it. But other than that, we're doing good.
Just a matter under your region. In our ordinance, there's a listing for a
For
11.
11, and that was gonna be a question I was gonna ask somebody.
Rescue 11.
Fire. Fire 3 was gonna be actually a rescue squad when they started running calls. As a squad, we required them to have a minimum of 10 members for us to not send Rescue 1 into their district. And they met that at the time, and they started off as 11. We're operating completely, independently as that piece of it also. And we had to have a number to fit them in, and that's where that came from.
Okay. And Region 5, Commissioner Zahn.
Okay, everything's going as well as can be expected. Stephen and Dan had nothing specific to bring up. I know we were having trouble with that forestry truck that we got, that big white beast.
Yeah.
I went to get the mileage off of it a couple weeks ago, and seems that you have to get under the hood to throw a switch, and the hood wouldn't open. And Dan said something about it's been that way for a while, so. Yeah.
Opened it up about a month ago and had no problem,
Yeah, well,
so
this was,
I can check it.
When motor pool, gets caught up, one of the things on the list, the vehicle still works, so we have left it. It is to move that switch to where it is not required to open the hood
Good.
to do that. But, that is not something we're gonna jump in line when we have emergency response vehicles completely deadlined. They're first. That's, we're gonna be that way for a little while,
well,
but
the truck's hooked up to a trailer, I think,
it is.
so it's not operative, if that's still the case.
No, you can get it open. We just opened it.
Okay.
I'll make sure.
Thank you. Otherwise, that's it.
I do not believe we have a need for executive session tonight unless someone has other business though. All right. Appreciate everybody's time tonight. Need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Before we adjourn real quick, I
Yes,
just wanted to touch back when we were talking about the ordinance and the at-large members. There was no comment on whether or not they're allowed an executive session. Are they or are they?
So we have always allowed them in executive session in the past.
And if we needed to reach out to the county attorney, can we do that as individual commission members, or is that as a whole?
I will find out for the commission members as I can reach out on your behalf, but an individual squad, he's not allowed to represent.
That question hasn't been
And because,
asked to him.
but since you are a commission of the county, I believe, but I will have to clarify that.
Okay. That's all that's, sorry.
Need a motion to adjourn?
Make the motion.
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, unopposed.